Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties, and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student Matt Leonard.
Bill, today we're going to get your motor running, head out on the highway, looking for adventure, whatever comes our way.
Our guest today is certainly born to be wild and wants to bring out the wild side in more people today. We're going to learn about the On the Road Again Motorcycle School, a unique business here on Long Island with classes that happen here at Nassau Community College, right on the campus, as well as Suffolk Community College.
Our guest today is Steve Bertoline, the president of On the Road Again Motorcycle School. Steve, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
How are you?
Steve, we want to thank you for being here. And obviously the first question I have to ask, how does someone get into running a motorcycle school? We've been doing this 35 years, and I've never interviewed someone who has a motorcycle school.
You know, I've been asking myself the same question. But I got into motorcycling at the age of 9. We had a house in rural New Jersey, and one weekend we went up there, and my cousin had a little bike. And once I rode that bike, I fell in love. That was it. That was the start of it. And we've been riding and having adventures ever since. Getting into training people, I was at a motorcycle show many years ago, probably in the early 80s. And they had a booth. The Motorcycle Safety Foundation had a booth set up, and it was something new to me. I didn't even know they had that. But I think in 1973, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation started this curriculum and program to train riders how to ride safely. So once I saw that, I said, this is for me. This is for me. It hooked me. I had to go through a process. I had to actually a high school dropout, so I had to get my GED to get a state license. So at the age of 46, I got my GED at Hempstead High School.
Great. And
qualified to become a real estate appraiser right before the market tanked. And I also qualified to be a motorcycle trainer. And I started doing that. I worked for another school for about 7 years. Then I bought my own. I always had intentions of having my own.
Now, obviously, Matt and I have seen your classes because they're literally right outside the building where WHPC emanates from. So when we go to get into our car, get out of our car, we've seen you over there and doing your training. Matt, are you a motorcycle person?
I definitely am not. I've been sometimes curious about it. I personally know how to ride a bike, so, that wouldn't be good for me. That would not be my thing.
You don't know how to ride a bike?
I do not, and I'm 20 years old.
Okay, yes. That's one of the qualifications. To be a student, you must know how to ride a bicycle.
So you don't have a kindergarten for something like Matt? So you could start him out, put him on
training wheels?
Tricycle, training wheels?
We could, listen, I've never said no to anyone who wanted to learn.
This could be a challenge. This could be something
Okay.
we follow up with, and a reality show maybe. We got to work on this after the show. This is getting to be a lot of fun and a lot of your venture could open up into millions of dollars.
It could.
Talk.
Good plan. Good plan. I like it, Bill.
See, I'm looking out for you.
There you go.
So you mentioned you got into motorcycle training when you saw this booth. You mentioned you saw that and you got into this whole field. Was this always, something? Was teaching always a passion of yours, or was it always just you wanted to combine the two?
My wife says I'm an efficiency expert. I'm always telling her how to do things better, or I try. So I've never had I didn't know I had a passion for teaching until I started doing it. And that was my third love or fourth love. I love to help people. I love to see that light bulb go on when they get it, when they get their feet up and they're riding. It's a beautiful thing. And I like to share that with my staff, That's why most of our staff does it. It's not a big money career. They do okay, but most of our staff is there for the passion. I'd say they're all there for the passion.
Steve, Matt, if I just met Steve and it was kind of guess my line or what do I do, I would have said something like, you're the person who's head of the English department at a school for 25 years or a vice principal. No, you just have that look. Some people I might have looked at immediately and said they're in the Army or they probably are into motorcycles or fixing cars. But you have a very professional look about you. If you were talking to me about joining your school, I certainly would accept it. I mean, and hear your pitch. Not that that's something I was looking for, but I'd want to know more. Can you go into detail about some of the courses that you offer people?
Absolutely. We have our main course is the Basic Rider course, and that's a licensing course. Once you successfully complete the course and pass the tests, there are numerous tests. There's a written test and a riding skill test. You don't have to take any additional testing at the DMV. We give you a card. You go down to DMV. They stamp your license as motorcycle certified.
That in itself should get you a higher fee. Just that we don't have to deal with the DMV. That I think is a great privilege. So
we're subcontractors of the DMV, so to speak, so I'm not going to comment.
That's
on
right.
that.
Okay. I told you he's a smart guy. Very, very smart.
I'm a little smarter than I look, they say.
Okay, that's good for all of us.
So that's one of our courses. We have something called the Basic Rider Course 2, which would be a similar course with no testing on your motorcycle. So once you pass that, the Basic Rider course on our motorcycles, then you can come back for the Basic Rider Course 2. There are the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, which is the curriculum provider, and it's a international curriculum provider, offers approximately 30-odd courses. Unfortunately, after people qualify and pass the Basic Rider course, only 1% of these riders come back for additional training, which is sad. So we actually brought it up to 2% one year. We made a concerted effort.
Increase.
The leader of the industry.
Yes. Listen. Once again, we all have a passion to make riders better, and the better you are, the longer you'll survive in the motorcycle world. If you want to be an 80-year-old motorcyclist, and there are quite a few now. Get your skills up. And that's what we're into.
And how long is the basic course? Are we talking like college, 2 years, 2 months?
It's 18 hours of training. It's basically 2 days of riding, and there's a pre-course, an online segment, and then we do approximately 2 hours of classroom at the site. Since the virus, we do a online version and an outdoor classroom. We used to do an indoor classroom for 5 hours. So it's approximately 18 hours of training.
Okay. No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's quick.
What can students expect when they join your program? Do they have to bring their own motorcycle? Do you supply them with one? Or how does that whole thing work?
Didn't think of that.
Well, since you can't ride a bicycle, Matt, you're going to have to bring your own. But no, we supply the motorcycles in that BRC, the Basic Rider course. We also provide private lessons, which is something that I recommend everybody do if they can afford it before they come into this course. And we supply the motorcycle for that. Since the COVID virus, we don't supply helmets anymore. There's attire that they need to wear. You need to have over-the-ankle boots. You need to have good sturdy pants, without holes in them. Long sleeves, preferably a jacket, full-finger gloves, and eye protection. That's a state law. Eye protection and helmet are the only state law part of that whole equation there.
Are there some people you'd say, no, I know you'd like to, as an administrator of a school, want everybody, but are there some people, whether health issues, size issues, weight, or age, should kind of avoid this?
There are some health issues probably that would preclude you from entering our class. Motorcycles are operated with your hands and feet. So if you had a prosthetic or something like that, a hand or foot, that might be a problem. If you had some paralysis of a limb or something like that, or had balance issues, medications, that would be a problem. That's why I recommend a private lesson before, if you're not sure of your health, because it is a physical thing. Motorcycle riding is pretty physical. If you're not sure, come in and take a private lesson. There's no risk. 1 hour, make the call and book that. And
like a test drive.
Yes. As a matter of fact, both of you gentlemen, I will gladly offer you one for free.
I'll have to take my insurance agent first, see if I'm covered for this.
Okay.
Matt?
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Matt Leonard, and I'm with Bill Horan. And today, we are learning about On the Road Again Motorcycle School, a unique business here on Long Island with classes at Suffolk County Community College and Nassau Community College. Our guest today is Steve Bertoline, the president of On the Road Again Motorcycle School. Now, Steve, my next question is, what advice would you have for someone brand new in either basic ride or any level of your classes? What's the first word of advice you give them?
If you have the passion to ride and want to ride, that's have that. Don't do it for someone else. Sometimes we'll have a student come in and say, I'm doing it because my husband rides and I kind of like it. And you want to have that commitment. It's a serious thing, and come prepared. Get a good night's sleep. Most failures occur because they don't get a good night's sleep. They're not prepared for the weather. Motorcycling is an outdoor activity. People come in thinking that, it's going to be a temperature-controlled environment. They don't dress properly. We train in the rain. Our rules are no lightning and no ice. If it gets really cold or if there's some strong rain, we'll suspend the class or postpone it. But we train in the rain. Bring rain gear. You get very fatigued when you're learning something like this, an intense physical situation, and now you're uncomfortable on top of it. And so those are some of the main issues we have with students. They're not prepared mentally. Just come to have a good time. Be positive. The training works very well. It's a step-by-step process, and it really works if you let it.
Now, Steve, I'm a golfer, so I'm going to compare. In some respects, you can play golf in the cold weather, in the rain. It might be uncomfortable, but at least you have both feet on the ground, and the worst thing is the ball goes crooked. My ball goes crooked anyway. It goes into the water, the ice, wherever it shouldn't go. But here we're talking about safety issues, which I think could be significant. And if someone gets on a motorcycle, I usually see people, I'm going to say from the early spring on, all of a sudden you'll see a group on a motorcycle. You won't see them for 6 months, but maybe April-ish. And meaning the weather is getting warmer, which makes sense because they're creating a wind. So even a nice day of 80 is probably 60 or 50 on a motorcycle. And then, of course, if it's colder, it's going to be colder on the cycle.
Yes.
So can you talk about how weather affects people and what you tell them about it and how that guides them?
Well, we have a whole email confirmation form that prepares them for all of the weather, breaks, and all the whole layout of the class, and they don't read it. They don't read it.
I was going to say all of us. Do we read those things?
Yeah, it's pretty important. Or they'll do the online course the night before and stay up late and not get a good night's sleep. So we come up with these different ways of prompting the new students. Well, let's add this to our email confirmation. Doesn't matter. Some of them don't read it. So it's a pretty serious course. It's not basket weaving. It's not golf. It's not tennis. If you make a mistake on a tennis court, you might get hit in the head with a tennis ball.
Right? Yeah.
If you make a mistake on a motorcycle,
you might get hit by a truck.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, motorcycle
and
crashes.
I'd be the one who, not because of you, because of me not either reading the directions or not following some of them or not getting that good night's sleep that you talked about.
Yeah. Yep. Motorcycle crashes are very unforgiving. Not as bad as a
nice
plane
word,
crash.
Unforgiving.
Unforgiving.
Yes. A very accurate way to describe it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about one of your favorite memories riding a motorcycle in your lifetime, whether it be in the class or just in general?
I have so many. I'm going to make some new memories in a couple of days. We're going to Baja, Mexico, and we're going to ride off-road for 4 days through the desert with some old friends who've been riding together for many, many years. So, boy, I can't even pinpoint one memory, but I'll tell you this: it's not about the motorcycles; it's about the people and the friends and the experiences. And it's been a big part of my life, and I'm glad it's there, and I want to share that with all the students.
You know, it's sad, Steve, when you said that, all I could think of was the True Crime Channel. 4 people went off in the desert, 3 came back, and today we're going to find out where the missing motorcyclist, what happened. But no, that sounds like a great experience and a lot of fun, and it's with people who have the same interest as you, as with people who enjoy fishing or going to college football, etc. What advice would you give for people who are new motorcyclists? They're either thinking about it, or maybe they took your course, or they, learned from their wife or their husband, and now they want to get into it. There's some preliminary things you'd tell them?
Yes, absolutely. Ride like you're invisible. That's one of the most important things to do. Ride like you're invisible.
Explain what that means to us.
Well, as motorists, we don't look for motorcycles. The predominant vehicle on the road is a 2-track, 4-wheel or more vehicle that takes up the entire lane. So our eyes don't pick up the motorcyclist. So you need to ride like you're invisible. When you come to a stop on a motorcycle, don't assume the person coming up behind you sees you. They don't want to hit you. They don't want to have their insurance rate or hurt you so that's the most important thing I could tell you. And the other thing we talk about is the 2 most common crashes on a motorcycle. Be aware of how they can happen, and then you can have a plan to avoid them. And the most common crash is a left-turning car that turns left in front of an oncoming motorcyclist. Do you know why he does that?
No.
Because the motorcyclist is invisible. I already told you that.
Oh, he's a good teacher.
Right?
He's good, yes.
But it's true. So what are you going to do when you're riding down the road and you see a car poised to make a left turn? What are you going to do?
Not ride a motorcycle.
Pray.
Sure.
Well, no, there are different techniques. I can't tell you. It depends on the specific conditions. How fast? Is somebody behind you? Is somebody beside you? But you need to have a plan. If you're aware that that is the most common crash involving another vehicle, then you can make a plan to avoid it. Maybe it's speed up. Maybe it's change your lane position. Maybe it's slow down.
I'm looking at you with my mouth open because what you just said was exactly what happened to my nephew about 3 years ago. He's a fireman, and actually it has taken a process, and his leg and ankle still isn't completely healed, but over a year and a half of healing, therapy, pain, readjusting work schedules for him and boring times, etc. Again, because he's invisible to the other car. He got hit. And to us, it's a very positive. He was very, very, very lucky because it could have been far worse than a bad leg or ankle. The injuries.
No, we hear these stories all the time. That's why we're here.
And good. Perhaps he should have taken that class, and maybe on his end he might have been better.
If I can save 3 crashes from occurring a year,
that's a win-win,
But there's riders out there who don't realize that. They have the legal right of way.
Yep.
The laws of physics always trump the laws of traffic. Right?
I like that.
He's a high school teacher. I told you he should be a principal or a vice principal. He has that look. I could see him. He'd be a good disciplinarian, but he's a nice guy, too.
It's the cheap glass.
Is that what it is? Okay. Hey, if it works, it works. That's all that counts.
Another thing we tell them is the single vehicle crashes are in a corner. And they'll often say, well, there was sand in the corner and I slid out. Where's sand in the corner typically in a curve? Where is sand usually located?
The beach.
At the beach, yes. It's on the outside of the corner or the inside of the corner. So what happens is your motorcycle or any vehicle is going to go where you look, right? So they look at the outside of the corner because they're going too fast into the corner. They look that way more, and they go right off, jump on the brakes at the last minute, and slide out in the sand.
These things, it sounds like so much of a common sense statement, like no free lunch and things like we've been told. But I can see, in talking to you and the expression on your face, even though you tell people this, it's going to happen time and time again. And as you said, if you can save 3 people a year from an accident, because it's going to be somewhat serious. You don't have that car in between you, which is dangerous. You on the motorcycle, it's your skin, the road, the other metal,
your gear,
and the skin is most likely to give first, or your head, or your brains, or body parts.
Yep.
So,
Well, in addition to talking about the bad things, we also tell them to wear proper gear. You know, the more you wear, the safer you are in event of a crash. So
makes a lot of good sense.
Look where you want to go in life.
Yeah.
How many people always look behind them and what happened in the past and let that guide them? Look where you want to go.
He should be on the success show. You should be writing about success. Never mind motorcycles.
Let me write that
we got to get a new career with you.
Write that down.
Yeah, I'll give you my
Never
pen.
look behind you.
That's it.
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Matt Leonard. I'm along with Bill Horan, and today we are learning about On the Road Again Motorcycle School, a unique business here on Long Island with classes that happen here on the Nassau Community College campus, as well as out at Suffolk Community College. Our guest today is Steve Bertoline, the president of On the Road Again Motorcycle School. Steve, I want to know, what's the average cost of a motorcycle these days, including, the insurance, the maintenance, all the stuff that comes with it?
Annual cost? Well,
the average cost to get started.
You can probably find a decent used motorcycle for about, let's say, between $5,000 and $10,000. Gas, yeah, exactly, is a little less expensive. When I first started training, it was the first time $4 gas came around, and we were flooded with people who thought they would commute. So a lot of them realized it's not very practical. Commuting's okay on a motorcycle, but it's for the hardy. You have no windshield wipers, you have no heater, you have no radio, you have no roof or windows. So it's for the hardy. And you can't go to the grocery store and buy a bunch of groceries. So if you're going to commute, you might be best off with a Prius or something like that. But insurance is very reasonable because a motorcycle can do considerably less damage than a car or truck. And so I say, what all in annual cost of being a motorcyclist after you purchase the bike of about $5,000 to $10,000 is very minimal, really. I mean, insurance I have too many motorcycles insured, but let's say one is $400 a year for insurance.
So that's very reasonable.
It's a lot nicer than car insurance, I'll tell you that.
It is.
But now I have the question that's going to get you in trouble. Okay, I'm the troublemaker. Matt's a nice guy, but I've got to make some trouble.
Good cop, bad cop.
Here we go. Men or women, if you had a new class opening up tomorrow and I came outside, and I'm going to say there's 50 people in it, I don't know how many are in a normal class, would it be 25 and 25, 49 and 1?
We have about 20% on average female student, and we have about 30 or 40% female coaches. We coach more than teach, really.
Okay. No, that's fair, and I just wanted to make sure we in the audience knew what that term meant, if it was something different when you said coaches. So about 1/5 or 20, 1 out of every 5 would be a woman.
Yeah.
Now, I asked you before the show, but again, for our audience, is there a profile? Do you find that it's a midlife crisis thing? Does someone want to be the future Hells Angels, or just go out and just enjoy riding along beach roads or mountains as you're doing on a trip? What is kind of the profile? Do you get the rabbi and the priest? Do you get the 80-year-old as well as the 19-year-old?
Yes. We have 17-year-olds signed up as of the other day, and I've trained people in their 70s. Personally, I've trained them. Male, female, all walks of life. Again, motorcycle community is one of the most diverse communities I've been involved in, without a doubt. I love that about it.
Was there anyone that really surprised you coming up and you say, well, it's the first time we had someone from that category, whatever it might be, just that it's unusual, whether by profession, size? I was kidding you about the 300-pound grandma, but...
Well, I worked in Brooklyn for quite some time, perfecting my craft, my profession, and we had some Hasidics, and the women would have to wear a dress, a long dress over their pants, I think, right? Because they're not allowed, right?
Yep.
So that was unique. We've had people praying on breaks.
That would be me, praying on the break.
Yes.
Get me through this, God, and I'll never ask for free ice cream again.
Yeah.
I would be praying on the motorcycle, personally.
You probably should. Matt, I'm thinking you should. I'm getting to know you a little better, Matt.
Oh, I can see my mind going now. Oh, I wish I read that other page of instructions last night. Maybe it would tell me what to do. How do I make a left turn or a right turn? You could have a lot of fun with this. I could see a good comedy show coming out of this.
I've often wanted to do a reality show. I don't know if they'd go for it.
You should call Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
I could see him getting involved in this, and a lot of possibilities to go with. But I'm going to get sensible again and go back to Matt. He's a smart guy.
Thank you, Bill. Obviously, a learner's permit is required to take basic driver's ed. Is there anything similar to that that's required to start driving a motorcycle in your class?
You have to be licensed. To take the course, you must be licensed. We don't do street signs or road rules. We're assuming, it's a big assumption, that you already know them because you're licensed. We train you how to ride a motorcycle and give you some traffic and street riding tips. You're evaluated on that as part of your qualification. But yes, you have to have a license. You don't need to have a permit, a motorcycle permit, which is a separate permit to take the basic rider course. But you do have to get one before you get your license. So if you go to DMV after you get our card, you successfully complete our course, you go to DMV, you take your permit test that day, and then you get your motorcycle endorsement with our card all in one day.
So did I hear there's not a physical test like most of us think of parallel parking and
no.
Right?
Oh, no, there is.
Oh, there is.
And the test we administer, there's a written test and a riding skill evaluation. The test we administer, I think, is much better than the regular Department of Motor Vehicle test, which is done on the road.
So you give a harder test, so the motor vehicle is easy.
But
comparatively to yours.
Yes, I would say so. Yes.
Steve, before we wrap up, would you give our audience, if someone now you've got the interest going, they want to get out there, they want to give it a try, tell them the name of your school and how they can get in touch with you.
We'd happily have you call us at 631-862-RIDE. That's 631-862-7433.
And what is the name of the school?
On the Road Again.
Oh, on the road again.
Yes.
Okay, because I saw initials someplace.
OTRA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy to remember that. And first of all, as you know, Steve is delightful. You can see how much fun we had. So if you're interested in motorcycles, you're going to have a lot of fun with him. He's going to be that teacher that you always liked in school, Mr. or Miss Popularity, and at the end of the school year. So we want to thank Steve.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for being here and filling us in on this today. We want to thank Steve Bertoline, the president of On the Road Again Motorcycle School. Steve, thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome. Bill, if I may, I just want to give also the website. It's LRN, the number 2, RIDE.
Easy enough to remember, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people getting in touch with you. Steve, again, thanks for being with us today. I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Matt Leonard. We thank you for listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.